I sit at the edge of my bed with my eyes closed, struggling to breathe. I feel the dull sensation of ice packs touch my neck and my inner thighs. The scent of lavender oil fills my nose, and eventually I gain the courage to open my eyes. And in front of me, I see my mother. At least I think it is, but I'm not really sure. At the age of 15, I'm on a four-wheeler with really the only friend left that I had at the time. And we were doing all the things that I loved doing. I was excited, I was having fun. At least I think I was. But I wasn't really sure. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't really feeling anything. And I thought, when was the last time I really felt anything? It's probably been a couple of weeks. And that's really alarming to me because I'm a very emotional person. I feel things very passionately and deeply. And so later that day, I go home to my mother. I find her in the kitchen and I break down to her. And I tell her, something is wrong, but not like the last time, so I don't know what to do. A few weeks later, I'm sitting in a very familiar room, and in front of me is my therapist, the same one that diagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder the year before at the age of 14. And I felt a little bit defeated in that same office that I thought I had graduated from. After speaking with her that day, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. And then she told me that it would probably be a good idea to start medication. And I felt this sense of relief because, who doesn't want a magic pill that's going to fix their whole life? So I was really excited to get on those pills and just make friends again and do whatever I needed to do to be happy. But unfortunately, I had a bad reaction to those medications. And the suicidal ideations that I had had for several months were now serious thoughts. And they evolved into this plan that I kept in my back pocket, just waiting for that little flicker of hope to leave so that I could pull it out and move forward with my plans. Several weeks later, I remember being home alone. I wasn't really home alone, but I have 6 brothers and 2 parents, so having one sibling in the other room was as alone as I was ever going to get. And I remember thinking that, the sharp objects and the pills that my parents have hid are probably in their bedroom. So I decided to go in there and look, just in case I needed something. But I wasn't really going to do anything. I just wanted to find something. But as I searched, I became frantic, thinking, no, I need to find those pills. I need to find an object. I need to move forward with this plan now. And then I stop in my tracks. And this thought pops in my head that says, you were sent here for a reason and you have a path laid out for you, and that's what you need to follow. And I remember thinking, but I have this path that I want to go down with. How am I supposed to trust this other path that moves past today? I don't understand. But I decide to trust that grudgingly, and I move forward with my life. And after that, I pretty much just coasted. I wasn't very suicidal anymore, but I wasn't getting better. Later that year, at the age of 15, I'm in Jackson, Mississippi. And sitting in the audience, surrounded by thousands of people, was the first time I didn't feel alone in a long time. Because on stage, I saw a dancer doing a dance to portray his struggle with mental illness. And in that moment, I realized, wait a second, my therapist isn't lying to me. My mom isn't lying to me. There are other people living with mental illness. I'm not the only one. Because I had felt like a freak for so long, and finally, I had that push that I needed to stop coasting. And after the medication started to work, I had the anxiety lift a bit and the depression lift a bit, but I realized there were these symptoms that were still there that hadn't gone away. Everything was just really hazy and floaty and dreamlike, almost like when you're driving down a highway in the dark for 3 hours and you get that tunnel vision. Or that feeling when you're dreaming and you know that you're in a dream, but you're not awake. or almost as if you're walking through the world and there's this pane of glass in front of you. And you know what's in front of you is real. You know that people are real, that everything is real, but it doesn't feel like it. I sometimes, quite often, wasn't able to feel parts of my body like my hands and my arms. And when I looked in the mirror, logically I knew that was me, that was my reflection, but it didn't seem like it. So there was this disconnect. And after explaining this to my therapist, she was a little puzzled, so she went on to Google and started Googling my symptoms. I took a couple of quizzes and she found out that I had depersonalization disorder and derealization disorder. Now these dissociative disorders are so rare that even my therapist was like, I don't really know what to do here, but that's clearly what you have. And so I thought, okay, that's great. So we know how to fix anxiety and depression, but not this thing. So that's fantastic. That was a lot of pressure to be on a 15-year-old. But I keep going to therapy, I keep doing my homework, I keep taking my medication. And it was a lot of hard work, but 16, 17, and 18 went relatively well. I started making really good relationships with people. I started college at the age of 16. And then I moved up to a different part of Washington to finish up my degree. And that's when everything started to take a turn again. I hadn't been on medication for about 8 months because I didn't need it anymore. I was doing so well. I was flourishing and thriving. But then all of a sudden, with these environmental changes and weather changes and everything all at once, the anxiety hit hard again, the depression hit hard again, and my dissociative episodes became more frequent and a lot more intense. And all I knew was, I need to pass this quarter. I can't fail my classes. That's not who I am. And so I was struggling. My mom was trying to help me with homework. I was just trying to do everything I could to just stay above water and breathe and pass my classes. And one day, I'm standing in the shower, and I see my razor on a shelf. And I don't know why, but I pick it up, and I snap the head off. And I grab a pair of toenail clippers, and I clip the plastic edges that are supposed to protect my skin. And I take that razor, and I start cutting into my arm. I don't know why, but what I do know is when I'm done, I go back to my room, I pull out my laptop, and I finish my homework, something I hadn't been able to do that whole quarter. So then I realized, okay, awesome. So if I just take this razor, I have this quick fix where I can do what I need to do, and then it doesn't matter if I sleep for the rest of the day or don't talk to anyone, because this is all I need to do. But after a couple months, that coping mechanism turned into an addiction. And the week before my Christmas break, I remember calling my mom and saying, I need to go to a hospital for Christmas break because I know how to handle anxiety and depression and even this weird dissociative disorder now, but I don't know how to stop hurting myself physically. And it's not something I want you to see or my family to see. And she said, okay, I'm going to prepare everything just in case, but let's see if your family and your friends can help. So I thought, okay, that's fine, because I have my safety net of the hospital. And things were going pretty well for the first couple weeks. I was really struggling not having any sharp objects to just help me do that quick fix. And then on Christmas Day, I'm laying in bed, eyes closed, struggling to breathe again. Christmas has been hard for me for the last 8 years. And in my head, it's the end of the year, a whole year has gone by, I'm a year older, and then, time is fleeting. And so pretty much in my head, Christmas equals death, not Santa Claus and happiness. So that's what I was thinking when I woke up that Christmas morning. And so I go to my bag, and I pull out a razor blade that I had hidden from my mom. And I lock myself in the bathroom because I'm thinking, my family is waiting for me so that we can all go downstairs and open presents together. And I need to be able to get myself to do that. So I start cutting just a little bit too deep that time. And my mom finally figures out where I am and what I'm doing. and she starts banging on the door. Finally, I snap back to reality, and I see the mess that I've made. I start wiping up my arm, the counter, the sink, and I finally open the door. And she runs in and puts her hands on my shoulder and starts shaking me. And she says, "This has to stop. You have to stop." And in that moment, I realized that I had been coasting again. I wasn't really getting worse, but I wasn't really getting better. And I realized I needed to do something now. And since then, I've had relapses, I've had panic attacks, I've had dissociative episodes where I've had to question if I'm awake or asleep. But the difference is I'm motivated to live the life that I was sent here to live. I remember that thought that popped into my head when I was 15. I decided to live that day for a reason, and that's why I do what I do today. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology at the age of 20. I am happily married to my husband, who is incredible, and I'm in a transition phase of my life, and I'm trying to figure things out. But one thing that I know is that I need to keep pushing and keep leaning on my support and doing everything that I need to do to live the life that I was sent here to live. Thank you.